Hi guys, I'm so excited to share this recipe with you today. This was inspired after last year's Woodstock Fruit Festival when Dr. Graham made us his famous meatball subs. Now, I was always a fan of turkey meatloaf before going raw, and I really wanted to make a recipe that mimicked meatloaf because I think a lot of people enjoy meatloaf. And I also think it's a really good idea to mimic your favorite cooked foods with raw food, and especially when you can do it with low-fat, raw vegan ingredients, that's the best way to go. So here's what you're going to need for this recipe. You're going to need a food processor or a high-powered blender like the Vitamix. I've got about 2.5 cups of cauliflower, 1 cup of shredded carrots, and these are actually peeled with a peeler. So 1 cup of peeled carrots. And I'm actually going to just start blending these first 2 ingredients. Just to get it started. And now I'm going to add 1.5 cups of chopped celery. And I've got 1 cup of chopped zucchini. I'm going to go ahead and blend this all together. Once you get it mostly blended into a nice, fine, rice-like consistency, you're going to add 1/4 cup of sweet onion, a handful of garlic chives, and I'm going to add some fresh oregano leaves, and some fresh basil. The more Italian herbs you add, the more you're going to get your meatloaf, classic meatloaf flavor. And I'm also going to add 2 small semi-dehydrated tomatoes to take some of the water out so that they're not super juicy when you blend them in here. You're going to have more of a thick consistency that allows the veggie loaf spread to kind of hold together pretty good and get coated with all the tomato but not be runny. So as you can see with these tomatoes, they are semi-dehydrated. Almost lost them to the floor there, which would not have been good. So I'm just going to throw these in. So again, it really helps to semi-dehydrate them so they're not overly watery. So I'm going to blend the rest of this up together. See there, the consistency. And now what I'm going to do is put all of this in a bowl. And I'm going to add 1.5 cups of finely chopped shiitake mushrooms. And I'm going to mix them in by hand because I don't want them to get blended. I like to add the mushrooms because it helps give it more of a meatloaf-like texture. And just make sure when you mix your cauliflower and your vegetables together that you don't get a puree. You still want to have that rice-like consistency. So it has a good texture, but it doesn't become complete mush. So get it all mixed in there together. And now I'm so excited because I finally got another Excalibur Dehydrator. It's been a little while, a few years since I've had one, and I'm really excited because the Excalibur Dehydrator is top of the line dehydrator, and it just makes life so much easier, and you can do so much with it, including sticking an entire dish inside the dehydrator, which I love because if I get my dinner ready just a little bit sooner than my husband gets his ready, I can stick my dish back in the dehydrator and keep it a little warm until it's time to eat. So many benefits. So you're going to take your dehydrator tray. I've got mine lined with parchment paper, but you can use, if you have the dehydrator sheets like a Teflex or a Paraflex sheet, you can use that. I've even put this right on a large plate and stuck it in the dehydrator, and that works well too. But this is nice because it helps to not stick. If you use one of your Teflex sheets or whatever, it's gonna come off a lot easier. So I just like to make little patties with this, and this is another great thing that you can do with this type of mixture. You can make a hamburger, you can make falafels. The possibilities are endless. And I'm also going to keep it a little thicker because it will shrink down quite a bit when all the water gets pulled out, or the majority of the water gets pulled out. The other nice thing about this mixture is if you leave it in the dehydrator for a really long time, you can get crackers. You can make crackers with this. You can make like a crispy, crumbly topping for like salads, or I don't know. Like I said, the possibilities are just endless. Okay, so I've got my patties all made out here. I'm going to stick these in the dehydrator. I'm going to put mine in at 110 degrees and leave it there for several hours and check on them. I really like mine to be kind of crispy on the edges, so I'll leave mine in until they get to that point because it's super good that way. But you can put it in as long as you like it, whether you like yours a little bit more moist or a little bit more well done. And of course, if you're going to leave it in for crackers or a crumble, you definitely want to leave it in much longer. You're probably going to leave it in well overnight. Now for the sauce, you want to prep ahead of time by soaking your sun-dried tomatoes. And these particular sun-dried tomatoes are so great because there's no salt and they are organic and really raw from the farm, and that's where I get mine, rawfromthefarm.com. So if you want to have sun-dried tomatoes that are not only delicious but have literally no sodium added, these are the best. So you want to soak them in water ahead of time to make sure they get nice and soft, and just set those aside. And then for the sauce, you want to cut up a bunch of your most favorite tomatoes. These are my favorite tomatoes. They're early girl tomatoes and they're super sweet, but they also have a nice, incredible tomato flavor. You're going to dehydrate these on your dehydrator tray. And I'm also adding 1 cup of freshly chopped celery. So let's put this in as well and get this ready to go so that when it's time to mix the sauce together, it's all ready to go. So that's it. Now we wait. The veggie loaf is done, and I've cut it into squares to be able to lift it off the paper really easily and onto my plate. And you can see how it did get kind of crispy around the edges, which is what I wanted. So what I'm going to do is just turn this upside down on the plate, turn it over, and just peel this right off. And some parts may not all come off, but I can assemble it. It's fine by me if it's a little crumbly. It still tastes amazing. There it is, all ready to be topped with sauce. So now for our sauce, I've got semi-dehydrated tomatoes and celery, which I'm just going to pop into the blender this way. And now I'm also going to add my sun-dried tomatoes after I drain off the water. And just squeeze out the excess water. And I'm going to blend this up really good. Delicious. I like a lot of sauce on my meatloaf. And garnish it with a beautiful basil leaf. Delicious. Lots of flavor, great consistency, so yummy. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and share. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.